The Shadowhunter Chronicles is an epic saga written by Cassandra Clare, which consists of multiple sub-series, novella collections and companions. Before we even get into the multiple ways one could read this series, let's first identify all its parts. First of all, we have the main series. Number 1 is The Mortal Instruments. The Mortal Instruments was the first series from the Shadowhunter Chronicles to be published, and also the longest, consisting of 6 books, which are City of Bones, City of Ashes, City of Glass, City of Fallen Angels, City of Lost Souls, and City of Heavenly Fire. The next series to be published was The Infernal Devices, chronologically taking place before The Mortal Instruments. It consists of 3 books: Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince, and Clockwork Princess. Up next we have The Dark Artificers. Chronologically following The Mortal Instruments, the series is also made up of 3 books: Lady Midnight, Lord of Shadows, and Queen of Air and Darkness. The next series sits between The Infernal Devices and The Mortal Instruments, and is called The Last Hours. Once again, 3 books long: Chain of Gold, Chain of Iron, and Chain of Thorns. And up next we have The Wicked Powers. As of the filming of this video, this series has not started releasing yet. It will take place after The Dark Artificers, and it's supposed to conclude the saga. It will also consist of the classic 3 books, and the titles will be The Last King of Faerie, The Last Prince of Hell, and The Last Shadowhunter. Lots of lasts. Part of me wants to beg Cassandra Clare not to hurt us, but I know she will anyways. After that, let's quickly go over the extra material so we can finally get into the reason you clicked on this video in the first place: reading orders. I will begin with the companions. Up first we have the Shadowhunter's Codex, which is a book both within and out of the series. In universe, it is a textbook given to new Shadowhunters containing basic Shadowhunter history and basic information about the Shadow World. Then we have an illustrated history of notable Shadowhunters and denizens of Downworld, an illustrated guide of notable characters from the series, told through the Victorian language of flowers. It contains art by Cassandra Jean and fun facts about each character given by Cassandra Clare. Quick honourable mention to Shadowhunters and Downworlders, a Mortal Instruments reader, a book written by a collection of YA authors on the series and the world. It is only edited by Cassandra Clare, although she has written the introduction, so it's up to you whether or not you want to count this. Now, on to the novella collections. All of these novella collections consist of short stories within the series, usually following a common denominator, and span the entire length of the Shadowhunter Chronicles. The first set of novellas is called The Bane Chronicles, and follows the multiple adventures of Magnus Bane, the High Warlock of Brooklyn. Up next we have Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy. In this book, we follow different sets of characters from throughout the series in the time at the Academy, all in the form of stories told to Simon Lewis. Ghosts of the Shadow Market is the most recent novella collection in the series, and compiles a set of stories taking place in and around shadow markets throughout the series. Every story in this collection features Jem Carstairs, but focuses on a different character. And finally we have Better in Black. Better in Black is a not yet released novella collection. It's coming on December 2025, and it contains 10 stories of Shadowhunter romance. It is titled after Jace's quote from City of Bones: "Shadowhunters, looking better in black than the widows of our enemies since 1234. This next one I'm not sure how to categorize, so it gets its own little category, and it's The Eldest Curses. The Eldest Curses, which I almost accidentally called The Elder Scrolls, is a 3-book series following Magnus Bane and Alec Lightwood, starting from when they were dating and following along their relationship. The books in this series are titled after different magical texts from the Shadowhunter universe: The Red Scrolls of Magic, The Lost Book of the White, and The Black Volume of the Dead. First two are already out, while the last book has not yet been scheduled for publication. And lastly we have all the Kickstarter books, starting with Secrets of Blackthorn Hall. Secrets of Blackthorn Hall is a multimedia series, originally posted and updated every week on Cassandra Clare's Tumblr. It takes place between The Dark Artifice and The Wicked Powers. It follows Julian Blackthorn and Emma Carstairs through their attempt to clean the abandoned Blackthorn Hall, with many appearances of favourites from the series, both physically in the cases of the younger generations and through papers and other means, such as diaries for older characters. This book ended up actually being published as a physical book, as part of the Seasons of Shadowhunters Kickstarter. While the print edition was part of a limited run, the digital version on Tumblr is still up for anybody who wishes to read it. Seasons of Shadowhunters is the name of a Kickstarter project by Cassandra Clare, consisting of 4 limited edition books to slowly release over 2024 and 2025. 3 of the 4 books I have already mentioned, so I'll be brief. One was an edited print edition of Secrets of Blackthorn Hall. One was a revised and updated edition of an illustrated history of notable Shadowhunters and denizens of Downworld. And one was Better in Black, which was later picked up for traditional publication as well, and is coming out, as I've said, in December. The 4th and final book in this set is called Careful of Books. It consists of 4 novellas, although out of the 4, only one is part of the Shadowhunter universe and is called A Sea Change. It follows the future of Matthew Fairchild after the events of the last hours. Very briefly, although they are irrelevant to the Shadowhunter universe, the other 3 stories are a Peter Pan retelling, a Sherlock Holmes retelling, and the foundation for an upcoming fantasy duology by Cassandra Clare. And finally, now that we are done detailing every single piece of media that there is to read so far within the Shadowhunter Chronicles, it is finally time to get into all the ways one could go about reading this series. The first reading order is, of course, to read the series by publication date, which means start with City of Bones, City of Ashes, and City of Glass, then go to Clockwork Angel, back to City of Fallen Angels, Clockwork Prince, City of Lost Souls, Clockwork Princess, and City of Heavenly Fire. Then, moving on to the other series, Lady Midnight, Lord of Shadows, and Queen of Air and Darkness, then Chain of Gold, Chain of Iron, and Chain of Thorns, and finally The Last King of Fairy, The Last Prince of Hell, and The Last Shadowhunter, assuming that those are out by the time you're watching this video, which means you're watching this video sometime in the second half of 2028, which is amazing. Now, if you want to add the novellas in the mix, you can read both the Bane Chronicles and Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy after finishing City of Heavenly Fire. Plus, if you're interested in either the Codex or the Mortal Instruments Companion, then this would also be a good time to read both of those. Then, once you are done with Queen of Air and Darkness, you can go ahead and read the Red Scrolls of Magic and Ghost of the Shadow Market. The Lost Book of the White comes after Chain of Gold and before Chain of Iron, with Secrets of Blackthorn Hall coming between Chain of Iron and Chain of Thorns. If you manage to get your hands on A Sea Change, just read it after the last hours. In my opinion, if you want to read notable Shadowhunters, you should always leave it dead last to make sure you're avoiding any and all accidental spoilers that might occur from the book. The next way to read this series is, of course, chronological, meaning the Infernal Devices, the Last Hours, the Mortal Instruments, the Dark Artifices, and the Wicked Powers. In this order, the Red Scrolls of Magic come right after City of Glass, and the Lost Book of the White comes after the end of City of Heavenly Fire. Since the novella collections span the entire length of the series, the easiest way to add them to the lineup while avoiding potential spoilers is this. The Bane Chronicles and Shadowhunter Academy come after Mortal Instruments, Ghosts of the Shadow Market after the Dark Artifices, Secrets of Blackthorn Hall after Chain of Iron, and The Sea Change after Chain of Thorns. The next recommended order to read everything is by series. It's actually the way I went through the series, except for a small hiccup that's a story for another day. It goes as follows: Mortal Instruments, Infernal Devices, Dark Artifices, Last Hours, Eldest Curses, Wicked Powers. The novellas and companions come in the spots where I have placed them in previous orders, so here. Another commonly recommended way to read this series is what is nicknamed Avoid Spoilers. It is pretty similar to the publication order, but it addresses the constant storyline interruption of the Infernal Devices and second half of the Mortal Instruments. To remedy this, some people recommend that you read the first 3 books of the Mortal Instruments, then the entire Infernal Devices, and then go back to the second half of the Mortal Instruments. The rest of the series can be read in publication order. Now, you might be thinking that I have covered pretty much all the ways to read the books, and you would be mostly right. These are the most commonly recommended ways to read the Shadowhunter Chronicles. However, I really wanted to add 2 more slightly unhinged reading orders, straight from my strange and obsessed brain. As I mentioned before, the novella collections span the entire expanse of the series. Well, what if we were to read them bit by bit, adding them in to the chronology of the series? To make this segment easier, I have color-coded the short stories as such, according to the collection they have come from, to avoid any extra confusion. And a brief disclaimer, the Shadowhunter Academy stories are all narrated as Simon Lewis learns these stories after the end of the Mortal Instruments, but a lot of them still take place earlier within the series. I have chosen to simply put these stories in both spots they could occupy, so you can then decide where you'd rather read them. So that is why some stories appear twice. The main timeline is the same as established in the chronological order, so this. Now, let's go in and add all the novellas one by one. In this timeline, before you even start Clockwork Angel, you first have to read 3 stories from the Bane Chronicles. What Really Happened in Peru, The Runaway Queen, and Vampires, Scones, and Edmund Herondale. That's what you get when you have a warlock that's older than the entire series. Then you read Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince, and Clockwork Princess like normal. After these, The Whitechapel Fiend and Nothing But Shadows from Shadowhunter Academy, Cast Long Shadows and Every Exquisite Thing from Ghost of the Shadow Market, and The Midnight Air from the Bane Chronicles. Then you have Chain of Gold, Chain of Iron, and Chain of Thorns as normal, which are followed by The Rise of the Hotel du Mort from Bane Chronicles, then Learn About Loss and A Deeper Love from Shadow Market, then back to Bane Chronicles for Saving Raphael Santiago and The Fall of the Hotel du Mort. Then Shadowhunter Academy, The Evil Will Love, back to Chronicles for The Last Stand on the New York Institute, then Shadow Market for The Wicked Ones and Son of the Dawn, before finally City of Bones. After City of Bones come 2 more Bane Chronicles novellas, The Course of True Love and First Dates, and What to Buy the Shadowhunter Who Has Everything and Who You're Not Officially Dating Anyway. That's a mouthful. Then we have City of Ashes, City of Glass, The Red Scrolls of Magic, City of Fallen Angels, City of Lost Souls, then The Voicemail of Magnus Bane, and now you're done with the Bane Chronicles, before ending the Mortal Instruments with City of Heavenly Fire. Now you have a lot of Shadowhunter Academy. Welcome to Shadowhunter Academy, The Lost Herondale, The Whitechapel Fiend, Nothing But Shadows, The Evil Will Love, Pale Kings and Princess, Bitter of Tongue, The Fiery Trial, Born to Endless Night, and Angels Twice Descending. Then comes The Lost Book of the White, and 2 novellas from Shadow Market, The Land I Lost and Through Blood, Through Fire. After that is Lady Midnight, Lord of Shadows, and Queen of Air and Darkness. And then come the last 2 stories from Shadow Market, The Lost World and Forever Fallen. While I don't think I'd recommend this as a way to read the series for the first time, I'd love to try reading it in this format sometime, and you should probably expect me to update this as soon as more books are released. The 6th and final one will be quick, as it's more of a side note than anything else. Many people who are new to the series have expressed that they would rather not have to read the Mortal Instruments, which, while I personally can't relate to that sentiment since the Mortal Instruments hold my heart and soul, I understand that some people might want to go over these books quickly, and instead of skipping them entirely, I am here to propose an alternative: graphic novels. The Mortal Instruments graphic novels are almost complete, spanning all the way to the first half of City of Lost Souls, and are an amazing way to experience the series in a quicker manner. If it were up to me, I'd say read both, but even by simply reading the graphic novels, you'll be able to get acquainted with the characters and the story properly, and then you'll be able to enjoy the rest of the books with zero confusion. Anyways, if the 5 pages of script are any indication, I have rambled for way too long and should probably stop. I could talk about this series forever if you couldn't tell. Anyways, I hope you found this video helpful, and I can't wait to see you for the next one. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment with other Shadowhunter videos you'd like to see me make. And thank you so much for watching. Goodbye!